Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we're here watching some Gundam Seed. We got some comments here today, so let's see what people got to say. We got Long K Long from the Collapsing Land saying, well, yeah, if you rate the OS, you basically know how to pilot the suit. No, the original OS was not programmed by the pilot's need. The OS for mobile suits in this universe is very low tech, like way behind UC 1 Year War OS. Stolen and based on the Jin OS, which was tailored for coordinators. Coordinators, well, yeah, they have parents, technically. Naturally birthed humans. How are they gonna evac the colony? Well, you got your answer. Phase shift armor. Think of it as a layer of electricity field of sorts that negates physical attacks. Yes, the color corresponds to how much electricity is being used in the armor sections. Oh, don't worry about the lifeboats. They are their own ships, has controls, and manipulators. Also, it's not like the nation that owns the colony isn't going to send their army to save the stranders, right? No, slash sarcasm. Uh, that and the licensed junkers, scavengers, and mercenaries are always around. So, whole lot to take in there, Theta. Where we want to start on this?
I don't know. I don't know. It's
All
just
right,
it's an info dump is what it is.
Let's go ahead and start on the OS facts. So the Gundams are based on the Jin, which are used by coordinators, and the coordinators use a coordinator themed OS, and then they take that and then they're trying to turn into something naturals can use, and then Kira, our main coordinator, steps in and goes, "Wait, I can fix this," and then just sets it back to coordinator mode. He flipped a switch.
Well, no,
It
he
becomes slightly less
reprogrammed.
impressive when the work was already there,
He
right?
reprogrammed the OS. What he claims to have done.
Mm-hmm. Right. So he took it from being able to be used by anybody to right back to where it started.
Well, no, I mean, not just anybody can use it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of only coordinators can use it. I think it's only coordinators can use it effectively. Because we
Yeah.
saw, oh shoot, what is her name? Um,
It's not
Ramus.
bad, girl.
Ramus. We saw
Right.
Ramus piloting it earlier on, less effectively than a coordinator could.
Right. And Kira literally over her shoulder doing a better job.
Well, I just mean more so that she could pilot it badly, and he could pilot it well with bad coding.
All right. And let's see, what else do we have here? I think the lifeboat stuff, like who owns the colony, who's going to go out there, and who's left in space. I think those are all questions the show does not answer. Nobody is ever shown coming back for any of the other lifeboats at all. They just are there, and we're just kind of left to assume that either A, because they're not on screen, they don't matter, or B, they're all dead, right?
Well, because we don't see them. They're able to
Hmm.
pilot themselves to safety, then I guess it doesn't matter. Except for the one that we get rescued, because it's
Hmm.
damaged.
It didn't look like those ships like had room for like food or water or anything, or like not a whole lot of it, right? It was basically just a single hallway ship.
Well, I mean, I'm not even concerned about that aspect. It's more so the fact that we know from Archangel's, sorry, I was trying to remember if I got the right ship or not. Archangel is this show, it's White Base, and the other one. That
Yeah, yeah.
Archangel's own path for escape was so riddled with zaft that it doesn't even matter. Is zaft gonna capture these people? What's going on there?
Would Zaft take in civilians and then return them to a proper location? I don't know. What's Zaft even like these days?
Literally everybody that's gotten on board the Archangel has said, "Isn't this a zaft ship?" So I guess the expectation is that if you're stranded in space, it's zaft that's gonna pick you up.
I guess it would be fair to assume the spacefarers are the ones who are going to pick you up in space, right? So, with that comment out of the way, let's go to our recap real quick. The songstress of the enemy forces, where Locus Klein, the daughter of the Plant Supreme Council Chairman Siegel Klein, oh, that's a mouthful, is found within the life pod. Her presence causes tension within the crew, but when the crew receives a message from the 8th Fleet that they are being searched and rescued, they are overjoyed. So we're in a position right now where they know that help is nearby and could be coming for them, and well, we get to see how that all blows up in their face, I think, given the little preview we got. Wasn't the preview quite literally watching one of the characters' fathers explode?
Couldn't happen to a better girl.
Oh gosh, yeah, no. We know like how your opinion on characters go. She did one bad thing and now it'll never recover and there's no more sympathy.
I mean, she
So
did.
this action's just gonna dig the trench deeper.
She's done more than one bad thing.
So far on my tally list is she's been kind of coordinator racist in front of her best friend, which bad form, right? But like, what else? What else has she done? I guess other than not do,
Well, I mean,
right?
she's been coordinator racist multiple times in front of multiple people, some of which who are armed with guns.
But are there any other different things that she's done? Is that the only note she has?
Oh, I'm sorry if being racist wasn't enough for you.
No, I'm looking to see if there's more. Is she a one-note character? Is she a one-note racist? I don't know.
Well, I think I'm just going to go ahead and transition into the Theta's thoughts section because there's these mini breakdowns that we do in between the recap and discussion of what might happen this episode that always crosses over a little bit into what I've already written down. Which
I'm
makes
already thinking what you're thinking, you know?
Well, it just makes me feel a little bit awkward of like, can I say this right now? Because then I have to go through my whole thing and read what I've read. So make sure that I don't repeat myself.
Right. So let's go ahead and go right into your thoughts and see what you got.
There has to be an added level to Flay's spacism for Kira, given how he crumpled and cried at being labeled a traitor. Then here comes Lacus. Lacus is how you say it, right?
Yeah, I've been going Lacus.
I haven't heard her name enough to have it already pre-prepped, and then when I read it,
We're gonna get into it, and they're gonna be like Lacuse. It's like, oh, okay.
Another coordinator getting destroyed by Flay for just being who she is. Seeing the racism that's been seeing the racism that he's been able to avoid so far, and literally the least harmful person in existence so far getting destroyed for nothing, has to be pushing him closer to the edge.
I do love your labeling of Lacuse as the least harmful person in existence. That's actually pretty spot on. But yeah, no, like I feel like this is going to be the backstory episode. We're gonna like hear more about what particularly is on her mind. She's gonna be like, a coordinator killed my dog when I was 10 or something.
Well, no. I mean, we don't really need that considering what we know what we're going to get.
Right.
We don't need her
do
backstory of racism when she's going to be given like literally an excuse, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Blue Cosmos, another group to keep an ear out for. I'd assume they would be the equivalent Earth-type group to what Atherin's dad would represent among zaft. Militant hardliners that are for continuing the war.
We definitely got a fun portrait of like the entirety of the council, right? They weren't all on board.
They just deleted it, but let me go ahead and undo that delete since you apparently didn't hear what I said. Blue
Missed, like,
Cosmos, another group to keep an ear out for. I'd assume they would be the equivalent Earth-type group to what Atherin's dad would represent among zaft. Militant hardliners that are for continuing the war.
All right, so we just gotta look out for Blue Cosmos. See, that's the part that I missed. I just heard like all the thoughts on like their perspectives, and I was like, oh yeah, we went over that last time.
Well, when it comes down to reading comprehension, Griff, it sounded like all you heard me say was zaft. Military hardliners that for continuing the war.
There's nothing to read here.
You're listening. It's reading comprehension via listening. Audiobook reading comprehension. Just a funny note that the episode starts with Batgirl mocking Kira for bringing back another life pod, given that they gave him shit for bringing back the Heliopolis escape pod before, the one with all his friends in it.
So, I guess again, some slight comparison. So, like in the Origins, like they're constantly going on, like, we have these civilians on board. This is really wrong of us in our dangerous situation to keep doing. They seem more blasé about it in this one. They seem to just be like, no, no, we're fine with this happening. The civilians will have to deal with it. Or just like saying it's like, oh, why'd you rescue those people? Which is like the crueler
Well, I
angle,
think
I
it's more
suppose.
of a matter of in Universal Century or OG Gundam, they
Mhm.
got everybody that they got in one shot, and then they
Yeah.
eventually trickling off the amount of people to other places. Versus here, they got everybody that they got, and then they got a little bit more, and then they got a little bit more. But they've also been showing off their lowering resources as well. How
Right.
everyone's
It,
on
it's
like a
more
little bit of a
precarious for them.
cup of rations and whatnot.
Yeah. Having to drink death water and all that.
Right, so you're bringing in more people, which is on stretching the resources even thinner every time.
Right. But then you would think the argument would be it's like, we literally cannot take on more. Look at how we're doing now. Instead of like, oh, you, Kira.
Well, no, I don't think it's Yukira. They literally like give him shit for doing it, and then debate whether they take them or not.
Mhm, mhm.
So the Janus 7 memorial ship came across an Earth ship that had a disagreement that led to fighting, enough to the degree that Lacus was evidently the only survivor. Now, remember that there is an Earth ship in the area now, trailing the Archangel and trying to catch up with it. Given the rather direct narrative so far, I'd have to believe these ships are one and the same. We also know that the Jin we saw Kira destroy was actually looking for Lacus was from another group run by Yun Law, I believe is how you say it. They said
Mhm.
that the Yun Law team, and they often refer to Rouse group as a team, went out. So I would have to think it would be safe to assume there's another white-coated officer with a ship and a mobile suit crew out there. So I think they're heading into a multi-ship conflict.
Well, I guess someone's got to be on the job while Rao is back at the council, right?
He's not out. He's not back at the council.
He he had to go all the way back, and then he just set off again.
Yeah, he set off again, so they're back out there.
Right, right. So in the meantime, it's like, yeah, sure, there has to be a second Rao out there to go ahead and do all this job.
So you
Someone
gotta
like in the
remember
nice
that last
white coat.
episode, they literally set course right for where everything is happening.
Mhm, mhm.
He said, "Aren't we supposed to be looking for Lacus? I'd rather not be made fun of in history for letting this go." So then he heads straight for the action site, which is why I'm saying it's a multi-ship conflict, because we got Yun
Yeah,
Law's team and Rao's team all heading for the same location. And then the
right. We
Earth
have
ship
four,
that
maybe
caused the
five ships
problem with the
technically in the
Janus 7
text, right?
conflict also heading there.
So let's see what big space battle we get. I'm not sure though about saying like the vessel we're gonna see today is also the same one that blew up the cruise ship,
There's
right?
only one there's only one that we know is in the area. We know
Hmm.
that the one that Lacus was on encountered an Earth ship. We now
Yeah.
know that there's one trailing the Archangel from the area that they were in, where
Hmm.
another Earth vessel got into a conflict with the Janus 7 ship. Why would you make up a second ship when we literally have evidence there was already one there?
That's just coincidence, you know. It wouldn't hold up in court.
I think
What
it's
else you got?
bad writing to just to make up a new ship when you've already got evidence of one existing.
Yeah, there's just gonna be a mysterious ship that blew up an important dignitary, and no one ever mentions it again.
As an additional to the whole memorial service ship conflict thing, Kira did destroy a rescue attempt and has realized that himself by now. It certainly isn't going to be a good look in any parlay situation should a diplomatic return of Lacus as a civilian be tried. I know we are still dealing with the fallout of Heliopolis, but the ramifications on how each side will take it haven't really been felt out by the show yet. It feels like everyone dealing with the Lacus situation is going to have wider stakes due to her idol status. Not all Americans can point to Venezuela on the map. A lot more of them could if Taylor Swift suddenly went missing there.
Oh no, that's a great little metaphor right there. Ah, gosh, there was something I wanted to hook onto there, but now I've forgotten what it was. I guess just keep moving then. If I don't remember, it didn't matter.
Maybe my thing should be I should post the Theta's thoughts into our chat so you can follow along there in case there's something.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, the reading comprehension thing like we just said before. It's like, oh, the same way that I post the comments into the chat and I'm reading along with you while we're doing it.
There we go. Thought for later. Put that in your Thay's thoughts, yeah.
I appreciate that Lacus tried to differentiate the difference between the military and the civilian government. When Flay accuses her of being zaft, she tells her that isn't true because zaft is the military, and then tries to tell her what that means. Flay interrupts her, but she still goes on to say that while she is a coordinator, that she isn't in the military. Characters having confusion and disputes is a good way to convey information to the audience. Ultimately, it also serves to create an ignorant and racist character out of one of our main cast. Well, I say one. Flay sways the crowd in the end, and I think by implying that they are all the same as her, and everyone remains silent. Even Sai, when he comes to apologize to Kira later, hears Lacus singing and can't help but to casually racist his way out of the conversation by implying that she's such a good singer because her genes have been modified.
Yeah, gosh, what I want to say here. Oh god, no, the brain's just stopped working today. Where'd you start, Theta?
I started by writing down a comment and then reading it to you.
Ah, yes, of course. Let's start by writing again. We're gonna be covering more of the space racism thing, but like, I think like, yeah, no, you're on point that like having the characters like discuss and hash out like their own confusion is a good way of telling the audience it, because so far we've only assumed that there's just Zaft is everything. And then we have a character who goes, no, though, that's just the army, that's just the military. Don't worry about it. But of course, like the inability to accept that there are civilians, is that just like a widely held belief, I wonder? Every coordinator must be hostile at all points. That's really kind of extreme, isn't it? How does a situation get there?
Well, I mean, that's how Flay treats it. Remember, she can't. I don't even want to be in a room with the coordinator. I can't trust that they're not super strong or super smart or whatever.
Yeah. Though I feel that part is a slightly different argument. It's not that they're not civilians, it's that like, oh yeah, no, even the civilians could probably snap my neck.
Well, I mean,
Which
yeah.
I guess is more of the racism and less of the caricature of their entire government system, I guess.
Well, no, it's the racism. It's very specifically the racism that they're better than humans, so I can't trust to be in the same room with them because I can't trust my own safety. Like you said, it's also permeated amongst the entire group because they don't vocalize their disagreement with her. They vocalize the fact that she's saying it out loud, and then when she says, "But you all agree with me," they all silently look at the floor. And then Sai, who is supposed to be our most reasonable person amongst that group, apologizes for all the things that she says, and then walks away with Kira saying something casually racist on his own.
I feel like next episode we're going to discover Lacuse Klein is actually a part of the Bene Gesserit, and we'll just like activate her voice and command everyone to do something, you know?
I do appreciate
that's
that.
That's what it seems like they expect.
That we already had a conversation about how to pronounce her name, and then you've just now introduced a third pronunciation.
As I do, yeah.
I also guess that the difference between a coordinator and a new type is that a new type evolves naturally as a product of their environment, whereas coordinators are created with genetic manipulation. I have to
Mhm.
wonder if Lei and gang would have a problem with new types, since they are alone. Since they are alone, they convey the idea that their inherent problem with coordinators is that they were messed with genetically, and that's just what's wrong. I somehow
Mhm.
doubt it. Feels more like an inherent dehumanizing of the enemy, and that their feelings likely extend to all of Zaft as well, regardless of just that excuse. Just makes for a good thought experiment.
Yeah, yeah. The likeliest scenarios they go, they are the enemies. Well, what's the thing that differentiates them the most? Oh, right, they're genetics. Therefore, that's why they're evil. It's a pretty straight through line.
Well, I mean, more so, again, the conversation that they had when Kira wasn't in the room
Yeah.
was that they've been messed with. She implicitly says it's not for any other reason, but
Hmm.
they were messed with. So the fact that new types are basically almost the kind of this, they're similar coordinators, but new types evolved. They weren't messed with.
I feel it's almost funny going back this far in time where nowadays we have like literal genetic treatments for like specific diseases. Like some people like have like some diseases like come from genetics and we can fix that. We can literally like engineer a virus, transmits that into a person and it solves the problem more or less. This was before we even started doing that. That's just how quickly it evolved.
I don't.
So it's funny going back and saying like, "Oh yeah, messing with them at all is wrong," and then like some poor guy from the infirmary comes in and goes, "I need my treatment, man."
I don't think it's equivalent. I think this is
It's
more
not,
This is
but
more equivalent to eugenics.
right, right.
This is
But I mean, like
This is
they're
basically applied eugenics, and then the
mhm,
problem that people would have with that. It's not,
yeah,
I don't feel like it's so much. Oh, they're super strong. It's they've killed off all of their defective babies. That kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's sort of a that's just an implication
It
right now. I
is,
would say, yeah.
Gattaca. We're
Hmm.
looking at we're looking at a Gattaca situation if there was an outside party able to evaluate, right? If
Yeah.
if we had a colony on the moon, say in Gattaca, filled with all of these super people, and on Earth it was just our main character, basically the race of our main character, able
Hmm.
to look down at those people. Like, I gotta hate all of those superhuman Gattaca people.
Yeah.
Because we know what
What else you got?
happens. We know what happens in Gattaca to normal ass people.
What happens? I haven't seen it.
You never, you never saw Gattaca? I had to watch Gattaca in school. That's how.
Wade's.
You not know Gattaca?
Nope.
Gattaca is where they literally like they gene sequence you before like when you're in the womb to tell if you're gonna have any defects, and then they ask the parents if what they want to adjust in you
Ah, yeah.
so that they
Okay.
can get
I
rid of
remember this.
any negatives, and then make you better in every possible way that they can make you better in. And so the
Hmm.
main character is just like a normal dude. His parents decided to have him naturally, and he's got like lung problems and other shit. And the thing is, he wants to be like a space guy, an astronaut or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So he has to go through this whole thing of taking another person's identity who has been shamed because they had an accident and they can't walk anymore. He takes their
Hmm.
identity and then pretends to be one of the superhumans with all of his defects and everything. He's like,
And then with his bad lungs, as soon as he's put under any G-force stress, he immediately dies.
no, no, no. Like they test him completely psychologically, physically. He just has to like go to his breaking points. It's him pushing himself to the limits and faking his way all the way through. Because that was the thing. That was like
Hmm.
that's like one of the very first things in the movie is him and his brother. He was born naturally. His brother, his parents saw what he turned into be, and his brother got all of those gene therapy things.
Yeah.
but he still like outswims his brother and everything like that because he has to push himself beyond where his brother is willing to go in order to try and beat him. So this whole thing is like, I can never beat you swimming. How is that? Oh, it's because you were always swimming as far as you could to still make it back to shore. I was just trying to beat you. I was never concerned about making it back. But
Oh no, that's a funny line. It's like, yeah, I'll die winning.
yeah, but no, Gattaca's like always in a very important movie because it's like the
There you
very
go. Put
first
it
one
on
that puts a
Gattaca,
lot of shit.
everybody, right there. Go watch it.
Well, I would assume most people of a certain age. I don't know. I'm older than you, so I'm weirdly. It's weirdly. I don't know why you wouldn't have had to watch Gattaca. Anyway,
Just before my time. Got
no,
anything
it
else?
wouldn't have been.
Or would it?
No. We already figured out that Flay's dad is about to bite it. What with the next time on showing us his death in the hangar bay. I wonder if Flay is going to turn into the kind of character that gets motivated by such life events. I mean, on the face of it, I read her as a breakdown type myself, but I could also see her as the revenge type if they wanted to keep her writing as the most annoying character tropes possible. That she could then stand opposed to whatever the rest of the gang chooses to do in order to go all militant in her desire for revenge and to kill as many zaft as possible. You know how I've said
Yeah,
before, I'm going off script now. You know how I've said before that a bunch of our characters are char coded.
yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of them have like a little thing here or there that makes them like Rao with his mask, LaFlaga with his backstory. Imagine if Flay's parents die and Flay
Mhm.
gets the Char backstory motivation. LaFlaga's got the history in battle. Rao has the mask. Flay has the desire to kill everybody that's killed her family.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. So we have play put on the mask, get in the Gundam, or
No,
maybe just pick up an assault rifle and go to. Sorry, I know what you're saying, but I'm also picturing the worst scenario
well,
too.
no, you don't. The Char thing is being spread out, so she wouldn't put on a
Yeah.
mask and get in a Gundam. She would just do the little thing in her spectrum, right? LaFlaga is
Mhm.
the get in the Gundam guy because he is the war backstory part. Rao
Yeah.
wears the mask because Rao is the masked part. She would be the trick Garma into flying the wrong direction and getting killed part.
There you go. So she's gonna get on the radio to like tell Kira to go the wrong direction. He flies into the sun. Let's do it.
Well, you know how
Yeah.
we said in Double O that I thought, oh god, people's names are now escaping me because we don't watch that show anymore. That we said that, okay, Plank. Who's Plank again?
A plank?
Plank, yes.
Isn't that a character from Ed, Ed and Eddie?
Yes, and who was that in Gundam Double O again?
In Double O, isn't that just Setsuna?
Okay.
Yeah, there
Setsuna
you go.
and, sorry, Luis's boyfriend?
Sh- I want to say Shinji. That's not
Saji?
right.
Saji. Sorry.
Sanji. There we go.
How, Setsuna and Saji as one character would have been a more interesting thing, and then you're like, oh, that's Kira from Seed.
Hmm.
Well, it feels like they've gone the other way now. It's like, well, how are we going to deal with Char and Seed? Well, what if we break him up into three different characters?
Yeah, yeah. So, but the thing like with Saji and Setsuna is that they came together to interact, to be in the same place and fill the roles at the same time. Is she going to change sides?
Well, it's not that.
It would.
If you split up the characters, like if you know what Char is like, and
Mhm.
you split the characterization rather of Char up into multiple different characters, you could have those characters interact back and forth across the spectrum. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, in this breakdown, Rao is the least interesting part because he's just the fucking mask, and we don't know why. But
Yeah, he doesn't have any explanation to himself. He's just kind of there and looks kind of cool, and he's slightly egging on our antagonists a little bit.
Well, I mean, I guess Rao is the hidden identity of Char, which
Hmm.
is itself not interesting until we find out why. But
Yeah.
you have on one side Flay as the possibly, again, theoretically, revenge backstory of Char, and on the same ship you have Luflaga as the war history of Char, and these two individual aspects of the one character can then cross paths and have different interactions, which is
Hmm.
something you can't do if they're the same character. Well, you can, but
Yeah.
it'd be a lot of
It,
thinking to yourself scenes.
well, I mean, yeah, you usually have character introspection moments, but like that's easier in a light novel, harder in an anime, right?
As I said, thinking to
Yeah.
yourself moments, moments of Kira walking down the hall, just thoughts, always thoughts.
Yeah. So, yeah, trading introspection for character dynamics is definitely an interesting choice, and I guess we got to see like how does that play out from here.
Did a little research so that I could do some comparison. Rei Tanaka, who voices Lacus Klein, I feel like does the best singing in the show so far. I
Hmm.
consider her to be doing a better job than Chiaki Ishikawa, who does the vocals for the outro song, which I also quite like. I said outro, but
Yeah.
do I mean intro? No, outro. It is the outro song. The outro song, which I also quite like. The only part of the intro I like is those first few chords, which I can thankfully attribute both the vocals I hate and the chords I love to the same person, Takanori Nishikawa. But yeah, just a tiered listing of where I am on everything that's had vocals so far. Keeping in mind, I'm a tone deaf musical idiot, so no big weigh in here, really.
I think the only reason I personally rate Leku's singing in the show a little lower is just because I need higher energy music. So when I have this lower energy music going, I'm falling asleep because it's literally a lullaby. That's what she's going with.
Well, no,
Or
she's
like
trying to
at least
sing
when
a
she's doing it
poignant
alone,
song
like
about,
vocals only.
well, she's trying
Yeah.
to sing a poignant song about the relationship and
Mm-mm.
of people in space and the deaths of those that died in war, and it's
Yeah,
not
it's
a
done well.
lullaby.
It sounds good. It has a good point. It's just not my pace. It's entirely preference.
Well, like I said, that's just my way in.
Mm-hmm.
I had other points, but I've deleted them because they weren't really fully thought out. I was looking at a
Totally
note of
fair.
like, hey, look at that. Orb and Zaft space stations look different. It's like that's not worth.
All right, time to go ahead and figure out what plants are today then. So before we get started, sorry, I did that one just to bother you. Before we get
Don't
started,
bother me. They haven't said it.
yeah. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below to feed that algorithm. On top of all that, if you watch more shows like this, unfiltered, uncensored, and uncut, as well as some early access stuff, you can go ahead and follow us over on the Patreon. Just $5 a month, but no pressure. It's all support the channel, just a little bit extra.
Click the link down below. Join the Discord. Weigh in on the whole Char as multiple aspects of a triumvirate person.
ポットを拾っていただいてありがとうございました。私はラクスクラインですわ。
Recap.
Yeah, I don't think they. Yeah. No, they did have the interrogation.
Yes, I said recap.
Sorry, I just put it through my head. Like, I didn't remember that part where they actually sat down with her.
Yep, like the first thing they did.
なんで私があんたなんかと握手しなきゃなんないのよ。コーディネーターのくせに慣れ慣れしくしないで。
僕もコーディネーターですから。
In case you forgot the emotional stakes from last week.
そうですか。
I mean, it's important to remember.
あなただからでしょ。
The funny plot would be Kira decides to defect just because of this conversation.
That wouldn't be funny, that'd be stupid.
Everyone hates me and they just think I'm pretending to be friendly. I may as well leave. That's a teenagery move.
No, I
if
mean,
I've
as
ever
per
heard
all
one.
the Atherin conversations, that would be stupid to fucking do now.
We got to get all the greater reasoning in, you know?
プレイのことは当然知らなかったろうけど、こっちの上位名簿さっき送ったからさ。
パパがよかった。
Maybe for her dad to be super racist too. Yeah, we killed that fucking coordinator aisle just a minute ago.
どこに向かっているのでしょう。
Said a space slur or something.
No, I don't mean like stupidly, vocally racist. I mean like admitting to that he was on the ship that encountered the Janus 7 memorial ship and created the dispute that had them kill them all and then be happy about it.
He came out of nowhere and said, it's like, yeah, now I get to kill one more. I think that's still that's terrible right there.
Well, I mean, it seems to me to be on the par with the writing, right? That
Right, it works
it
with
would
your
be the sort of
constellation elements, too.
outward narrative of I have to tell the audience this thing somehow. So being a horrible person and gloating about what I've done is a great way to, you know, be a mustache twirling villain.
I'm wondering, can they make it even worse? How more? What
Well, they
can
could,
we
I don't know, they
assassinate
could
even
kill
more?
him in a bomb in a hangar or something like that. That would probably go a little worse for the character.
Oh yeah.
In a scene we've already seen. Because they're doing a good
It
job
just looks
of
so cool.
doing
That's
a
the
good
one
job
reason
of
you're here to see
mirroring.
it. It's so cool.
They're doing a good job of mirroring shit. Considering we just watched an episode called Garma's Fate, where we kind of got shown ahead of time he was gonna die. Well, hey, it's Flay's dad. He's shown up. Boom. I guess she would have to be our Frau counterpart.
Yeah, I think so. They're the perspective character, I think.
Well, no, I wouldn't say Frau is our perspective character.
何よ。何よって、フレイこそ何よ、何やってんの？
You're using up all the water.
見てわかんない？
I guess there's also not that much of a difference between Frau and Ha. Which is her name is
Yeah.
Ha.
よく持ってたわね、そんなもん。パパも先遣隊と一緒に来るって言うんだもの。ちゃんとしとかなきゃ。大西洋連邦事務次官の娘があんまりボロボロじゃパパにも悪いでしょ。久しぶりに会うんだし、せめてこのくらいはね。
So not only is her dad gonna die, the vice minister of the Atlantic Federation is going to die.
Yeah, that's gonna be an international incident right there.
Among international incidents.
It's just nice having our dramatic irony in hand, knowing what they don't.
本隊との合流地点へ向かう。あとわずかだ。無事の到達を祈る。大西洋連邦事務次官ジョージ・アルスターだ。まずは民間人の救助に尽力してくれたことに礼を言いたい。ああ、それとその救助した民間人名簿の中に我が娘フレイ・アルスターの名があったことに驚き喜んでいる。
I bet that must be like the coding for like, you know, a coded transmission across the bottom. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I have no idea what the fuck is going on.
We gotta make the computer seem like it's busy, you know?
Well, it's either that or it's the most complicated news ticker in human history. Sorry, are you recording your vocals in a different room? What's going on?
It's a big echoey chamber.
Then why can I hear him just fine?
Because he's inside a small echoey chamber.
I don't know, I can hear him fine now.
So Kara's like, I'm not gonna volunteer.
Casually, that should have launched them both across the room. That should have been, whoa!
Physics. Yeah, Kara's like, no way I'm gonna volunteer, but he's also putting in overtime at the same time. Little Haro dance, it's perfect.
It's got to be the most advanced Haru in existence, given that it's miniaturized.
It's just the newer model, you know?
'Cause I'm confused by the implication, because I thought that was LaFlaga's dreaming. We saw him floating
Yeah, with
around
him
in the
spinning around,
pod
yeah.
thing, yeah.
Oh, I love that cockpit view.
Yeah, I've seen better in other Gundams.
I know, it's just great to see it. Things that actually look like they do something, you know?
I don't know, I think I prefer like the G Gundam layouts better than the actual real ones.
Is the G Gundam layout just like completely empty space and some video screens?
Yeah, the thing is reading your body movements. It's not video screens, it's like 360 display.
Yeah.
You're like in a pod with a 360 display thing.
You're in the Jaeger mechs.
仕掛けるんですか。しかし我々には
我々は軍人だアスラン。いくらラクス城捜索の任務があるとはいえな。
レーダーに艦影3を捕捉。
Oh, they're coming in with 3.
バーナード・ローです。やったー。これは
どうしたの？
邪魔です。
Well, I guess the confusing thing for me is he said Law was one of the ships, but we know Yun Law is also one of the zaft commanders in the area.
Ah, law versus law.
Law, ready for this?
It's a Judge Dredd moment if I've ever seen one.
I was going with video game high school.
Yeah.
このまま見逃すわけにはいかない。我々は我々を守るために戦う。戦わねば守れないならば戦うしかないのです。
So he must be the Dozle equivalent, just more militaristic.
君がどうしてヘリオポリスを。アスランザラ出る。
Nice to see Atherin just like having a moment of like introspection going. It's like, yeah, I got time before I launch. Maybe with enough introspection, he'll come with a better argument.
Well, I mean, thank God that Kira was already in the Gundam. Not now, wait till later.
なんだとそれではこの状況で何ができるって言うんです。合流しなくてはここまで来た意味がないではないか。あの艦が落とされるようなことになったらもっと意味がないでしょう。
So Atherin and 2 jobbers versus an entire 3-person fleet, 3-ship fleet.
Worked at the Battle of Loam.
Yeah.
戦闘ってモントゴメリより入電。ランデブーは中止。アークエンジェルは直ちに反転離脱とのことです。
艦長、敵の戦力は？
イエロー257マーク402ナスカ級熱門称号ジン3。それと待ってください。これはイージス X303 イージスです。
I wonder if the Alliance people know about Atherin's proposed marriage to Lacus.
I don't think they do. Again, who knows of the enemy's pop culture, right?
I mean, she's an idol. One would assume that she's popular across all civilians, but regardless of sides.
Mm-hmm. And is also a politician's daughter, etc.
Well, they knew that about her immediately.
Yeah.
なんですの？急に賑やかに。
戦闘配備なんです。
You're too oblivious, Lucius. Come on.
You know, worst things worst, maybe go to the hangar and sit in your lifeblood again.
戦闘配備ってまあ戦いになるんですの？
そうですよ。てかもうとっくにそうです。
キラ様も戦われるんですか？
Good time for a stop and talk, right?
とにかく
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure nobody's dying right now.
いいですね。
歌いましょうか。ハロ。マイト、マイト。静かな。キラ。戦闘配備ってどういうこと？先遣隊は
No, please, everybody stop the only Gundam pilot.
大丈夫だよね。パパの船やられ
This
た
is
りしない？
literally what I mocked them for, like episode 3 or 4. They all just stop him in the hallway when the alarms are
Please.
going off.
行くから。
Flay's read the script. She knows.
God, please give us like 5 more times he gets stopped before he can get to the Gundam.
I like how it's also been one episode and Kira's already completely forgiven Flay. Doesn't even think about it.
I prefer it in Universal Century when they do that with rockets.
護衛艦バーナード沈黙。
Understandable.
303ゲージス。ローに向かっていきます。
More impact to it than lasers, right?
奪われた味方機に落とされる。そんなふざけた話があるか。
メビウスゼロ式フラガ機リニアカタパルトへ。
I think that guy is pointless. The guy holding the glowing rods, because he's floating past the section where the doors don't open all the way.
遅いぞ。
So he's already past the point of visually, I can't get through here. Physically, I can't get through here.
It's also on a track.
それとイージスがいるわ。気をつけてね。
キラ。
He's also tied to the wall.
フレイのお父さんがいるんだ。
Well, that's just because it's zero G. That part makes sense. That's fine.
カタパルト接続。レールストライカースタンバイ。
I do appreciate the Zoids mechanic we've got going on.
Oh yeah, where the walls come apart, stuff comes out.
Liger Zero, assault mode, go!
進路クリア。ストライクどうぞ。
That's the one aspect I'll forgive this Gundam for. That it's got the cool toy selling layout mode.
Can't wait to buy the toy.
No, you can't wait to buy the different packages to attach to the toy.
Exactly.
バリアント1番2番。で。
Fuck that guy.
That was a fun shot though.
バカな。本命のご登場だ。雑魚にあまり時間をかけるなよ。
Fourth wall breaking row.
He's read the script too. Everyone's doing it today.
I mean, that's one ship fucked. Out of 3.
Yeah, Kira, weren't you supposed to be saving ships? Instead, now you're in a duel.
Well, technically, I'll say if he keeps the other Gundam occupied, there's only one mobile suit left.
Well, there is now.
And LaFlaga's fighting it. No, remember? The main cannon of the Archangel destroyed the other one? There was only,
Oh, yeah.
there was only 3 to begin with. And now LaFlaga's engaging the other one. And I don't think the other zaft ship is engaging the fleet, so...
ポットフリート1番照準合わせ。フラガ対はゼロ帰還します。
Oh yeah, this is not the place to be right now.
Also, you have to wear a uniform if you come on the bridge. We've told you this!
フレイフレイ
Distracting someone so much they have to abandon their post.
戦闘員はブリッジを出てパパの船はどれなの？どうなってるのよ？
フレイ
See, I forgive the old people in Universal Century more than I do Flay right now.
ロー撃死
フレイさあ行こうここにいちゃダメだほら
人力モントゴメリへ向かっていきます。モビル
You're hoping
Sure,
Sai
I've been
wasn't, controlling the guns or anything.
Yeah, I hope it wasn't important.
あの子キラはあの子は何やってるの？
Just like a racist to call somebody that boy.
戦ってるよでも向こうにもイージスがいるしなかなか
でも大丈夫だって言ったのよあの子僕たちも行くから大丈夫だって
Oh, she's gonna have so many motivated reasons to hate Kara. She really is.
Is that another ship blowing up?
It almost feels like it, but I think it was just the sparking.
大丈夫だから
There was a ship passing behind them when it all
お父
happened,
さんの船
so...
は大丈夫だからフレイ
いや私も話してたら
フレイ
We gonna get a seed slap? No, we're beyond slapping now, I guess.
That's singing again. The siren song.
待ってるのあの時忘れた微笑み
So is Flay gonna get on the communication system? To say, we've got Lacus, stop attacking or we'll kill her? Something like that? Because it feels like something she would do right now.
ローエングリーン発射準備ジンが来るぞストライクは
艦長ダメだ離脱しなきゃこっちまでやられるぞ。
しかし
So I guess that is the Vasalis, so I guess it is fighting back.
衝動避難機関機損傷各撃閉鎖
何をやってるんだ。
So this is definitely LaPlaga's fault then.
事務次官は救命
Because he failed his duel, and now that mobile suit is free to go ahead and attack the ship.
See, I was right.
パパの船を撃ったら
I know
That's
Flay's
literally called
motivations.
this.
Yeah.
あいつらに言って
See?
Like-
Oh, she didn't get on the communication. She's just demanding that they do it. Too late though. Oh, the kid got to trick us though. He was on his way to an escape pod.
Inches away.
I mean, obviously, I feel bad for her in this instance because she's like
Right,
fucking watching it happen. But at the
Right,
same
this is just
time,
some straight up real panic attack, right?
it's not a panic attack. You're just watching. I don't know what you would describe it as. I guess they had more gins. They said there was 3. Now we got 2 more.
バジルール少尉ザフト軍に次ぐ
Oh, such a
こ
bad
ちらは
girl.
地球連合軍所属
She's doing it.
アークエンジェル
足つきからの全周波放送です。
当艦は現在
I think it's very weird they keep calling you a legged
シンゲ
ship.
ルクラインの霊長ラクスクラインを保護している
ラクソモ
偶発的に救命ボットを発見し人道的立場から保護したものであるが以降当艦へ攻撃が加えられた
It's a war crime.
それは機関のラクスクライン城に対する責任放棄と判断し当方は自由意志でこの件を処理するつも
You're
り
doing a war crime right now.
お伝えする
Little bit. Taking
Not-
civilians hostage.
Not even a little bit. You're threatening to kill a civilian as a military unit.
なんともまあ
If you
格好の悪いことだな。援護に来て不利になったらこれか。
yeah.
ああ、分かっている。全軍攻撃中止だ。
We can't kill the councilman's daughter. We gotta stop.
It's also too late for Flay.
ストライクと
Doesn't matter you did this now.
ここで沈めるわけにはいきません。分かってるわ、ナタル。
But you will be court-martialed later for your war crime. I'm assuming she's never gonna... I'm assuming nothing bad's gonna happen to Bad Girl for this.
They might not remember it later.
Well, to be fair, nothing negative is around Lacus, so we can have the cartoony sound effect. No, before you start laughing about all that, Griffin, I'm trying to remember something. What was the other show that we were talking about before, where somebody literally did a war crime, and then I was like, well, they're probably not going to get negative effects for it because they also saved everyone's lives, and they're the only combat unit available right now. What show was that?
That could be any of them.
It was very specific that I had brought this up. Well, my point here is that Bad Girl is not in that same position, where she's the only one that can save everybody. So, I feel like I'm just going to keep like a mental tally now that she has committed a direct war crime here. Like, this is unforgivable for me. I don't understand. Oh, hold on. Next time.
偽りはなかった。ただ救いたいと思った。それだけのこと。胸の奥、繰り返される小さなつぶやき。悲劇を生むのは引いた引き金か、それとも引けぬ優しさか。事態は次々とキラを裏切り、傷ついた子供たちの心に様々な波紋が広がる。次回、機動戦士ガンダムシード。分かたれた道。その涙握りしめて、行け、ガンダム。
Okay, well, Lacus finally gets to go home with no repercussions. That's good. That just means I understand we're in a situation where a lot of bad stuff is constantly happening to a lot of people. And that war crimes are literally happening left and right. Like, but still, I feel like the line has to be drawn somewhere. And it's a very personal nature involved now when your main characters literally, or maybe figuratively, she didn't like pull a gun. Like, she's like, put me on screen. But
yeah,
she
she didn't have any weapons. She had no capacity to actually follow through with her threat, right?
She's a military trained individual. I'm pretty sure she could bare hand kill Lacus if she wanted to. I'm just saying that the threat was put out there, and I don't feel like that's cool. That's not, I mean, it's obviously it's not cool in a legal standpoint, but I mean, it's not cool for our main characters to do it. They're supposed to be the good guys, and I understand we're doing this whole moral ambiguity, grayness.
Hold up, because she never threatened to actually do it herself. She said, don't destroy us, we have her on board.
No, they said,
stop, you will do it.
They said, if you continue to fight, we'll consider your obligation of protection to be null and void and take actions ourselves. They said we will take our own actions if you don't stop. So the threat was made. It wasn't a stop, we've got her on board. It's a stop, we've got her on board. And if you're not going to protect her, we'll do something about it.
Right. Well, I mean, like, what's Zaft gonna do about it in any situation once they know she exists, right?
Again, they didn't make that stopping point. They could have said, hey, we've got her on board, don't attack. Instead, they said more than that.
Right, so...
I'm trying to pinpoint where she says it. What she says exactly. 247? 2047, obviously.
like I think like regardless of like whatever the specific words are, like the threat, the hiding behind civilians thing, I think that definitely is on the war crime list right
It's
there.
worse than hiding behind it because it's threatening to take action. We took her in for
But
military reasons. However, should you decide to attack this ship, we shall consider that as an abandonment of your responsibilities to protect Miss Klein. We will then take care of the situation as we see fit. That's the threat.
yeah. Speaking of war crimes, I think officially, like super officially, interfering with a rescue operation at sea is a war crime. Like so for naval stuff, if people are drowning, you go rescue them because that's a terrible way to die. I don't think it's any different in space. So Kira shooting the rescuer, totally a war crime too. We're at least 2 war crimes in here.
I would debate that one. I've stated that Kira recognizes that he's done the thing after the fact, but I would say there is no possibility that he could have known that he was doing it during it. Because for him, it's just an enemy combatant in an enemy combat zone. He has no idea that this is... Because he doesn't know that the ship's been recently attacked, because it's literally floating derelict in the middle of another, graveyard.
Yeah, like if I'm a military commander looking at these 2 situations, I look at the Kira one and I go, all right, assign an investigator to that, ask people what happened, figure out what's going on. I look at Bad Girl and I go, you threatened to use a civilian as a shield. Or took advantage of the fact that you could. Granted, I guess technically that also saved the civilian's life in this instance.
Well, again, she's more than using her as a shield. She's using her as a threat, which is more than, because that is also, the law's not coming to me all of a sudden, but it is more than putting her in front of you and saying don't shoot. It's literally the hostage scenario. You might as well have a gun in your hand to what your threat you're making is.
It is. It's a lot of weirdness to it. Again, because they don't have the gun, and no matter what happens, any scenario where Zaft attacks means that she's dead, and it doesn't matter what the cause is, right?
I think there's also the charge of the reasonable person, that basis of law where you have to say, what would a reasonable person do in this scenario? And I think back to the Kira example, a reasonable person could look at that destroyed liner and the Zaft ship and think, the Zaft ship might have done that, so I have to defend myself from a clear and obvious combatant, especially when it's pointing a gun at me, versus the after-the-fact realization of what's happening. I think Kira could get acquitted on that, versus this from Bad Girl, which is so obviously... There's so many war crimes when you think about it.
Right. Meanwhile, like on the play side of things, like she did come in there saying, "It's like tell them I'm gonna kill her," which we've already said like she has no capacity to pull that off. She even we were saying like in the build up, like she was saying, "There's no way I could beat a coordinator. What if you're super strong?" Next episode, I'm gonna kill her.
Well, we have no idea.
From her own
we have no idea what Lax's abilities are, and you say she has no ability. Everybody has any ability to do anything. She could have easily pulled out a fork from the cafeteria and started stabbing her. I mean, how many news reports have I read in the real world of somebody being stabbed to death by a spoon? Literally. It's crazy. People will do anything when pushed up against the wall, and Flay is quite clearly pushed up against the wall in the scenario of, I don't want my dad to die.
Right, but we clearly like have her... She's already in this hyper stressful scenario, which I think is what's led her like in previous episodes to like start breaking down and like attacking others with her racism and stuff. In this episode, she's like slowly pulling back to a bit of calm with like doing the makeup stuff, and then immediately it's back to anxiety, and it just gets worse and worse until, of course, the worst thing happens to her.
Well, I mean, she was already put in a position of the worst thing having to happen, because you're saying she's put in like a position of calm. She's not calm. She's in a position of expectation. And what's the worst thing to happen when you finally have expectations? Is to get your feet kicked out from under you.
Yeah.
So she literally wasn't. If she had gone like to a calm place of like, oh, good, things are finally going to return to normal, that would be one thing. But she literally put herself higher up the tiers of here's calm and normal. Here's I'm so excited. Things are gonna finally happen. So that the fall is all that much more dramatic.
Yeah, I think at least like her emotional path across like these episodes makes perfect sense from like a realistic standpoint. I could see a person behaving in these ways where it's just like this roller coaster that she has to be on, you know? It makes sense. Nothing there was weird or anything, which is good. That means that I got plenty of sympathy for her, and now she's just straight up in a coma.
I mean, I have little to no sympathy for her, but that's not. I don't think that's because of her. I gotta go a little bit. I think I go a little bit. I think I gotta go a little bit meta here, in that the reason I don't feel sympathy for her is because of the writers, because I feel like they had to make a racist character just so that we had a mouthpiece to say all the things that are different between a coordinator and a natural that people might be fearful of. Because if you didn't have them have some weird thought process about it, it would be weird just like, you know, we couldn't have like Kira and Sai in a dojo talking about, well, of course I'd never be able to beat you. You're a coordinator. You'll always have something.
Ah, yes, the ship dojo, yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It makes more sense to have two people at odds against one another to explain why the situation is bad for them versus two friends talking about it, right?
Yeah,
Or I say Athrun. I guess maybe Athrun and Kira having a discussion about it. It wouldn't have all of the emotional pull of two people that maybe don't hate each other, but will never get along. So it's the writer's convenience is why I don't like her. Not so much, or why I don't feel emotionally invested. No, I do feel emotionally invested. Why I don't feel empathy for her.
Yeah.
It's the writer's reason, not because of her.
So, I think next time, war crime trials. Sound good? So, I think that's where we're going to go ahead and end off for today. This has been Stone-Faced Reactions, everybody. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we'll catch you next time. See you around.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?